joy in the business. Okay. Sorry, I got the message that, Severin, are you recording?
I forgot to tell you, one of my team members asked us to record just this
No,
part.
that's totally great. So would you like for me to start over just to kind of go?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about, I'm going to power through my notes a little bit, and then we're going to discuss this because I don't want it to be a teaching. I would love for it to be a conversation. But for our first 3 focus calls we've had, our topics have been, what is your lane? And your lane being what brings you joy in a business transaction. It could be social media, it could be one-on-one conversations, it could be events, finding what you do really well and staying in that lane and doing it consistently. So that's our first thing we covered. The second thing we covered was being consistent with whatever your lane activity is. And then 3, we're going to talk about tonight, have you seen results? Okay, so if your answer is yes, that you have seen results from staying in your lane and being consistent, then awesome, keep doing it, right? If no, I would like to talk about tonight why. If you haven't seen results, then why? My first question to you is, whatever you're doing, is it truthfully your lane? Are you posting every day and just like finding a picture somewhere and putting it out there in social media, and you might think that that's your lane, when in reality, you might be better suited to have an event once a week, to host a Zoom, something where you are engaging with people. So you might want to ask yourself, am I in the right lane? Secondly, if your business is not moving forward, are you being consistent? And only you know the answer to that question. I'm my worst critic, and I can tell myself when I'm reviewing, like when I look from month to month, if I haven't seen any progression in a positive way, I look at myself and just say, well, I either got distracted and I haven't stayed in my lane, I haven't been consistent, or the third thing we're going to talk about is I haven't asked for the business. Okay, so let's see, my next thing I wanted to say, we talked about having an honest assessment. And the question that I always ask myself, if I haven't seen any forward progression in my business, would I hire myself as an employee? And if I wouldn't hire myself, then that's a reflection on I haven't had integrity with the way that I have wanted to run my business. So I just try to give myself an analysis month to month. Have I done what I said I was going to do? And let's move on to the last thing. If you're doing those things, if you're staying in your lane and you're consistent, but you're still not having forward movement, what could possibly be the roadblock? And I'm posing the question to you, are you asking for the business? So if you're sharing consistently, you're sending out videos, you're sending out samples, you're talking to people, you're tracking your conversations, and you're following up, but are you asking, would you like for me to go ahead and start your order? And that is, I find, a roadblock for a lot of people. And I would like to know from you all, have you experienced this? And I want us to share over the rest of our time tonight some possible verbiage that we can share after you've had the opportunity to share videos, links, conversations, samples, and you're following up with these people and you're still feeling like you're not seeing any forward movement, just a natural progression in these conversations is to ask for if they're ready to get their order started, right? So it's almost awkward if you don't ask. Think about that for a second. If you're sending out samples and you're following up for people with people and you don't ask them to become a customer, it's actually, I feel like it's more awkward to not ask them than it is to ask them. I would be curious to know what you guys think about that. And then I would like for us to go around and share after you have been in conversation with people, how you ask for their business. So if anyone is ready to step up and share some verbiage, I would love to hear from you. I'll do what Sandy does. If you don't share, I'm just going to call on you.
I think sometimes just saying, you know, is there any other information you need from me, or are you ready to get started?
I like that, Lynn. I like that, Lynn. Will you say that one more time?
Is there any other information you need from me, or are you ready to get started?
I like that. Because it's not a yes, no. I mean, the initial question is not a yes, no. Like that might lead to another question. Brenda,
Hey,
how about
Christy,
you?
can you hear me?
Oh, Nicole,
Oh.
go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was gonna say it's honestly become a lot easier for me to kind of bring up the business closing part of it with the new sharing of the cart, because I can sit there with them and be like, listen, I can make this really easy on you. I can go ahead and we can put in all your information and I can just share the cart with you. And then if they tell me, you know, they have to talk to their husband or they have to research more or whatever they want to say, they have the cart to be able to just go ahead and do it. And then I can always check back with them. But that, I think that's made it a lot easier for me to kind of transition.
Yeah, mine's similar, Nicole, where like when they start saying things to me like, how much does this cost? Then I can say, well, actually I can show you what we're talking about. Depends on how complicated that question is, right? So if they're saying, well, how does this compare to this? Then that's more of a conversation. But when we get down to kind of the, are you ready to order part, same thing, put it in the cart and you're like, I'm going to send you this link. It's right there. You know, it'll show you the breakdown of the cost.
I love that.
Yes. I think it also helps kind of stop the confusion about the monthly payments.
Yep.
Because they see all of that right there and it tells you each month and what the payment's going to be. And then there's not that phone call after, you know, you can say it as many times as you want that you're going to get 4 months and then you're going to get the monthly shipment. But that second month, all of a sudden they're like, wait, why am I getting a charge here? So I think it's kind of a twofold win-win there for the sharing of the cart.
Are you exclusively sharing the cart now?
No, I had a customer the other day to Family Healthy Starts, and we just did them on the phone together because she's a busy realtor and she just wanted me to do it for her. I offered, like, yeah, I can just do it for you. She's like, yeah, let's just do that now. Like, okay. But yeah, it just depends. I like doing the family deals myself. It just makes it easier with the free product and which ones to choose for whom. But then I do a lot of Tower Garden stuff. So we don't really get to share the cart with that. So I end up doing a lot of those as well.
Sure. Okay, Brenda, your turn.
One thing that whether it was Severin or some of the other coaching calls, it's kind of all sort of built one on top of the other. And instead of saying, is there something, because then they can say yes or no, it's like, what do you need for me to do to get you started. So then they have to have an answer. They can't just say, no, there's nothing, and then you're done. So that's helped me some. Because I'll get stuck with the yes, no questions or stick them with the yes, no questions. And then it's like, where do you go unless you're going to be obnoxious? So that seems to work well.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I made my van be quiet, so I'm going to jump in real quick. I really like what Christy said about it's actually, and tell me if I'm rephrasing this correctly, but it's actually professional to ask them for the sell. And I think a lot of times we can get in our head, but it's just like you're sharing this with them. It's your responsibility, not theirs. They don't know, we do. Does that make sense? Like, I loved what you said, Christy. Like, I think if I could say like 5 more times, it'd be great. But I think a lot of times we think everybody already, we don't realize how much it's our responsibility. We're the Juice Plus representative, partner, ambassador, and it's our job to make sure they have everything. So I do say that a lot about, is there, what else can I do to help you get started or whatever? But a lot of times I'll just say, are you ready? I know it sounds so simple and sometimes it's hard to get out, but just get out of your head and go, we're having this conversation. I've shared this information, and they ask questions, they're interested. And so just, hey, so are you ready to get started? And just make yourself say that with love and everything that we've ever talked about. But I think sometimes we don't realize that is the loving thing to say.
Love that.
It is, because if
Amy.
we really think it's a gift, to me, it's been a great gift. And if I'm offering to share it to you and then I don't tell you where to find the gift, then it would be more awkward, Christy, like you said.
Well, something that I wrote down is if you don't ask for their order after you've had multiple conversations, and this is not just like Len was talking about earlier, we're ditching the pitch. We're finding out what their need is. We're looking for points in conversation that either express a pain point or something of concern as it relates to their health journey. We're not shoving capsules down their throat. We're offering a solution. Okay, so this is just a natural progression. And as a business owner, if you don't ask for their order, you're just an unpaid consultant. And we're actually running a business, operating a business. And if we want to grow our business, our sharing with people and sharing Juice Plus with people, we can help both parties, right? We can help ourselves. We can help ourselves financially and grow a business. And we can also help individuals and families with their health. So it's a win-win for both parties. Anybody else have something that you like to share as you're asking a customer? Severin, would you like to share how you?
Sure. I think what Lynn shared is what I pretty much do every time. I really say, would you like to get started? I mean, I just make it so simple. I had this woman recently, I think I shared it with you guys. We bought a hot tub. And so I spent $5,000 with this lady, and she's, owns her own company. So in the middle of the conversation, she told me she was unhealthy and she had some severe tummy issues. And so I just jumped in and shared my story, because that was my story. I have severe IBS, and Juice Plus was the reason that, I don't have to take several medications a day. So after I shared my story, she said she'd love to learn more. So followed up 2 or 3, interchanges. And then what I realized was, well, I've given her video, I've sent her samples, I've shared my story. I need to ask her if she needs to, wants to get started. So I did. And you guys will laugh. She said, I'm really interested in it. She said, but I just bought these really expensive vitamins. And I said, oh my goodness. I said, that's the best part about Juice Plus is it's not vitamins, it's just real food. I said, but I get it. It's kind of hard to throw away really expensive vitamins. I said, when are you going to be done with those? And she said, November. Will you call me back? And I said, sure, absolutely. So sometimes, we're not going to always get a yes. But I asked her if she was wanting to get started. And she said, I'm really interested, but I just bought these expensive vitamins. So I use that over and over, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but I'd rather know why she's not moving forward, right? She bought expensive vitamins versus sitting back and going, wonder why she's not saying she wants to get started, right? So it works for me. You usually can get the good or the bad news at that time.
Yeah, I really like that. Communication is everything.
Yeah. And if Severin, I mean, she just said that, but if she hadn't have asked, she wouldn't have known to call her in November. And I think it just takes practice, you guys. Like it now, I would rather know the good or the bad and know how I could help somebody instead of being scared to move that process forward. And that's, again, I think the loving thing to do. And when you take yourself out of it and it's not about you and it's what is it for them, and you realize that if they reject you, it's not rejecting you. They're just, and for everybody that's new, your no's will probably eventually turn into yeses, not all of them, but so many times the no's are just a part on their journey to the yes. They're just not ready yet.
Agreed. Anybody else have anything they want to share about the whole process of moving someone from a prospect to a customer, or a question? Do you have any questions regarding that?
No, I was just thinking about what Amy said, and it's like if they're not ready, then it's like, oh, do you still want some more information? I mean, not more information, but can I keep you on a list and invite you to things when they're coming or calls or whatever, so that they continue to stay in that pipeline for when they are ready.
Absolutely. I read something today that kind of stuck in my mind regarding this training. And it says, seize the opportunities God has given you rather than fixating on the ones he hasn't.
Oh, that's good. Say that again.
Seize the opportunities God has given you rather than fixating on the ones he hasn't. He's given us all people right in front of us to talk to. He's given us people that need information, want information, and just look for those opportunities that are right in front of you. Anyone else have any thoughts or questions? I'm not totally hooked to staying right at 8 o'clock. So if you guys don't have anything, that's what I have for the night. And I'll stay here as long as anyone has questions. If not, we can call it a night.
One thing I shared today in our Voxer group, and we have a group called Consistency Chain. And if you're not a part of it, we'd love to add you. We use a tool called Voxer. It's a walkie-talkie on our phones and so simple to communicate. And when you're a new partner, you really want to get that set up on your phone. It's a free app, and it's a way for us to all communicate. And so everybody on this phone, can exchange ideas. We can be in different groups. And so there's a group called Consistency Chain. And today I mentioned that sometimes I post on social media and I don't realize that people are actually watching or paying attention. And I get disappointed because they didn't comment, that's the big key, or they didn't like my post. And this weekend I had a gentleman who's become a friend of ours up here in the mountains. He stopped by to take a look at some landscaping we were doing. And because he's kind of a new friend, I haven't jumped out there and said, let me tell you my Juice Plus story. I've just been trying to get to know he and his wife. So they came by to see my landscaping, and he said, hey, I want to know more about those whole food capsules that you keep talking about on social media. And so I said, absolutely. So what's the best way to communicate with you? And he said, Facebook Messenger. So I said, I'm going to send you a video. I can't wait for you to watch it. So I just want you to know that he's never commented on my post, so it doesn't mean that people aren't watching. And I don't know if he liked it or not, but I think the big key for me was just to keep posting, whether or not, and, keeping it personal, keeping it value add, and realizing that over time, those things pay off. And so I've had a couple of those. I could give you a few other stories recently that just out of nowhere, someone that I really hadn't shared what I do yet with has come up and said, I want to know more about that. So if you are not posting, find a spot, learn more, ask your leader. I really do believe it pays off if you have a presence at all on social media.
Agree. Thank you for sharing that. That's staying in your lane. It's knowing what your
Yes.
lane is, doing it consistently, and then following up with those people as they come around.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, because I really feel like my lane is one-on-one conversations. That's my joy. But I compensate with other things that allow me to touch more people. So I'm not going to be able to see the 2,000 friends that I have right now. And that might sound like a lot of people, but because we're new in a town, we've been really collecting friends because of our business. So I use a combination of a couple things, but I am learning, and I'm kind of passionate about learning about social media. So I don't think it'll ever be my number one lane, but it's definitely a very close number two. Christy, does that make sense?
Yep, totally. Brenda, before you hop off, no call next Monday. It's our conference week, so we're not having a call next week.
Okay. All right. You
Just
have a
wanted
good
to
week.
let everybody know. Okay,
All right. Thanks. Bye.
y'all have a good night.
Good night. Thank you for joining us, Melanie and Garrett. Scarrett. I'm saying Garrett, but I meant Scarrett.